Hi, I'm DJ Cyclone, and this is the CDMP-7000. I bought this unit primarily to save space. It's retailing online for between $700 and $750. If you look around, you might be able to find it for a little bit less. I would describe it as plastic but sturdy and packed full of features. More on the CDMP-7000 in a moment here, but first I'd like to give a short introduction about myself. I've been DJing for about 6 years. I'm a drum and bass DJ. I started on a couple of MIDI controllers and then moved into some low-end decks, and then finally settled on a pair of budget CD decks. I've mixed in clubs on Denon CD players and Pioneer CDJs, and I prefer to mix on CDJs or any CD decks with USB input because I find it to be more convenient than carrying around a book of CDs. So we'll get into the CDMP-7000 now, and we'll see how it stacks up against the gold standard Pioneer CDJs and also some other budget CD deck options that are out there. So if you've ever used Pioneer CDJs, you'll notice right off the bat that this looks like two CDJs bolted to a Gemini 3-channel mixer. And a lot of the features are pretty similar too. You've got USB input, SD card input, slot in CD-ROM. You've got your eject button, your source select for CD, USB, SD, or MIDI, because this unit also functions as a MIDI controller. You've got your hot cues, you've got slip mode, reverse, vinyl mode, your play and cue buttons. The cue button is pretty responsive. You've also got your start time, your stop time, and you've got jog wheel adjust, so you can either set it to heavy or really light so it moves really easily. You've also got some effects here, and you've got a touchscreen LCD. I usually don't touch it, but it does display a lot of good information. You've got your time, your cue, waveform, your pitch range, your beats per minute, and your pitch. Also used this to select your tracks, so that's pretty good. Selecting tracks is pretty easy on this screen. It's pretty large, as you can see, so you can see a lot of information on the screen at once. The mixer section here, you've got your cue buttons for each channel. You've got master cue, you've got cue mix, you've got your cue volume, you've got crossfader curve. You can only choose between one of two settings. There's no knob to dial in between. You've got crossfader reverse, and you've also got crossfader start. So if you want to start a track by moving the crossfader on one deck, that can be done. You've got, for your cue, you can split it between stereo, or if you want to split each channel in mono, that's possible as well. The great thing about this mixer is it has meters for each channel, so that's really useful to make sure that you can tell how loud your track that you're bringing in is compared to what's already playing. I'm going to go ahead and start up a track here and walk through a couple of the features here. So I just set a hot key there. I'll set a view again in a second. Currently I have to set the vinyl mode, so if I press it, it stops. If I go to the jog wheel, it'll scratch as well. You've got the reverse mode. And then slip, that will reverse, but also whenever you take the reverse off, it'll bring it back to where it was, or where it should naturally be. You also got your loop in and out. And your reloop button is shared with your exit button. That's kind of all my focus on the time that it relooped. That thing's anticipated. I've got 3 hotkeys set, and they're pretty responsive whenever you press them. The effects on here, personally I don't find them too useful, but you've got them. Whenever you take your deck out of vinyl mode, you've got your 3 on top, which is filter, flanger, and echo. Here's the filter right here. I I've actually got my level set to drive, so that's why I can't hear anything when I switch away. There's a hold button too, so if I let go of the jog wheel, it continues to play, and then if I take hold mode off, it goes right back. You put mono mode on, then these effects will play a second set of effects here, which is wall, transgate, and also bubble. Bubble sounds pretty similar to the echo. I'm not too sure what the difference is there. I'll go ahead and demonstrate my name as well. I actually don't hear it. I'll try to walk.
What is it?
Time to get my bumbo class when I'm not taking nuts out.
At this price point, it's going to be extremely difficult to match the features that you find on the CDMP-7000. So from that standpoint, it's hard not to give it a recommendation. Like I said, it's plasticky, but it's a sturdy build, and it is packed full of features. A lot of these features you're only going to find on high-end club gear. We're talking about, decks that are going to cost near $1,000 a piece. So it's going to be extremely difficult to find the majority of these features on some budget decks. So from that standpoint, I would definitely give it a recommendation. Also, I found that the mixer outputs volume very loud, so you're never, struggling to get the audio that you might be looking for, the output, the volume that you're looking for. So I found that to be really good as well. Ultimately, though, I would say this unit is really struggling to find its audience. For the more experienced DJ, they might find some issues over stability, and I'll get into more on that in a second here. I've actually got an audio example from a mix that I was doing a few days ago when I had a problem with stability. Also, this is my second unit. I didn't point that out earlier, but I've had the first unit I got, the left CD deck wouldn't accept CDs, and the very first CD I put in the right deck got stuck. So I shipped it back to the seller, and they sent me a replacement. So I was really happy to get a replacement. It did take a couple of weeks, not due to them, just due to all the shipping time. They were really fast and took my unit back and sent me another one as quickly as possible. But it did take me a couple of weeks to get my hands on it again and finally start trying it out again. The first unit I had appeared to be a lot more stable. I didn't have really any problems. I was mixing on it great, as if I never skipped a beat from using my last gear that I still own. But the second unit, I seem to have run into some issues where it doesn't appear to function as stable as I would like it to. And I've got one example that I'll play in a second here, where I was actually mixing and I was queuing up and beat matching on one deck, and the other deck slowed down on its own for quite a while, and then later came back up to speed, and I was able to finally beat match. But it was pretty concerning when I got it. So I think that stability is something that more experienced DJs are gonna want, that you may not necessarily get with this unit. And on the other hand, beginner DJs might not be looking to spend as much, or might not even know what to do with the majority of the features that are there in front of them. So I think it's really struggling to find an audience. I would say if you could get your hands on a stable one, which I'm not sure, since this is my second unit and I'm having problems with it, I'm not sure how possible that'll be. But if you can get your hands on a stable one, great. Use it. Enjoy it. It's a very good deal, and it's great to practice on. It's got tons of features. You'll love it. Now, for the people who are having experiences like me, they might be left with a bad taste in their mouth. So it's something you really, really need to consider. I know there's a lot of DJs out there who DJ at home, or who aren't necessarily making a lot of money from their DJing, and they're looking for budget gear. So I think that there's certainly some value to be found in budget gear. You don't necessarily have to rush out and buy the industry standard, because one, if everyone's buying the industry standard, there's only going to be one brand and there's not going to be any competition. And two, there are plenty of other great devices out there as well. So I think it's definitely worth a look to check into some of these devices. And that's the reason why I wanted to make this review, so that people could see more information out there that you might not necessarily get from other reviews. So ultimately, I want to recommend this unit. It's got great features, but from the experiences I've had, I don't think I could give it a recommendation. Now, I'll go ahead and play that audio example with the problem that I ran into while I was mixing. So the track that's playing, I just recently switched over from another track, and then within a few seconds here, you'll hear when it actually slows down. This isn't me moving the fader. This is a problem that I ran into, and I found it to be quite concerning. So let me go ahead and play it. So there's when it got slow. speeding back up. Turning the headphones down and mixer down. So once it sped back up, I was able to go back into my mix and then obviously bring in the next track. But yeah, I found that to be really concerning. So I would say if you know one, if you could buy one, if you know someone who has one and you can buy one secondhand and they can assure you it's working, you can play around on it for a while, then that'd be great. If you find that it's stable, go ahead and buy it. It's probably a good deal, especially if you're going to get a secondhand price off it. But buying it new, I would say buy it with caution. Make sure that whoever you're going to buy it from has a return policy just in case you run into any kind of problems, like the problem I ran into. So, and also I had the problem with the CDs loading or, getting stuck as well on my first unit. So this is my second unit. I'm actually going to send mine back. I've already decided what I'm going to buy instead, but obviously the price of this unit, I'm going to have to do a little bit more saving to get what I ultimately have decided on. And once I get that, then I'll be doing another review on it as well. So thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed this review.